Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of the SWUS. Got a rematch of the divisional round here. Bucs Lions in Detroit again. Let's do it.
Welcome to the SWUS. The SWUS. SWUS. Hey, get the SWUS.
All right, like I said, we got Tampa Bay on the road in Detroit. Line is now up to 7.5. It was at 6.5 on Sunday night, indicating that some sharp action came in on the Detroit side. So now it's 7.5 across the board. Total sitting at 51.5. Pretty consensus across the board at 51.5. So let's go ahead and get into this one, and we'll start with the pie charts that you requested. According to this data, which, as I keep repeating, I don't really trust it, the public's all over Tampa Bay, sharp action all over Detroit. I don't know how much I buy into that. I mean, I find it hard to believe that the public is fading the Lions in Detroit like that. The public loves the Lions, but that's what it says. As far as head-to-head history, Detroit's taken 2 in a row. They played twice last year. Obviously, the divisional game, which was a great football game, by the way. The Lions ended up covering, which was nice. I had Detroit -6. It was a lot closer than the 8-point final score. I mean, the Bucs made that game interesting. The Lions also beat the Bucs in Tampa Bay in Week 6 earlier in the season. So Detroit got them twice last year. So what are the differences between last year's matchups and this year's matchup? Well, Liam Cohen is coaching the offense for the Bucs here. Dave Canales is gone. He's obviously with the Panthers now. There was a lot of questions about the Bucs offense. Obviously, they had a great year. Here are their numbers: 14th in yards per play, 12th in EPA, 27th in success rate, 19th in DVOA. Passing numbers were great. This was a top 10 passing attack last year. 7.3 yards per attempt, which was 10th in the NFL, 8th in passing EPA, 16th in passing DVOA. It was a resurgence of Baker Mayfield, and a lot of people, including myself, we talked about it over the offseason. Could that be replicated because so much of the success came on third downs, and the Bucs passing offense actually wasn't even good on first and second downs, but they had such an unreal third down conversion rate, and we were questioning whether or not that could translate year to year. Well, it started off great. Baker Mayfield probably had the best game of any quarterback in the NFL in Week 1. He threw 4 touchdowns, no picks, 9.6 yards per attempt, completed 80% of his passes, passer rating above a 146. The Bucs offense was humming. They put up 37 points, 392 total yards, and they continued the third down success, 9 of 13 on third downs. Now, obviously, we have to mention they played the Washington Commanders defense, who might even struggle to make stops in the Big 12 right now. Washington's numbers from last year, actually not terrible against the run, and they made some additions. I actually expect the Commanders to be improved against the run, but as far as their numbers against the pass, this was one of the worst pass defenses in the NFL. In fact, it probably was the worst pass defense in the NFL. They were 31st in yards per pass attempt allowed, 32nd in EPA, 32nd in DVOA. Obviously, on the road in Detroit is a whole different type of animal. That being said, the Lions' pass defense wasn't any good last year. We just talked about how Washington was 31st in yards per pass attempt allowed. Detroit was 30th. They allowed 7.4 yards per pass attempt, 25th in EPA, 16th in DVOA. This is not a good pass defense last year. And honestly, I don't know how much better, if any, they're going to be this year. They lost a couple pieces in the secondary. Cam Sutton's gone. C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Now, C.J. Gardner-Johnson played, I think, 3 games with them last year, so that's not that significant of a loss. He barely played. But the new secondary the Lions are throwing out there, I mean, Carlton Davis, it appears that his best days are behind him. Terrion Arnold's a rookie. Amik Robertson, I mean, he was a below average nickel corner last year. I'm not saying the Lions' pass defense isn't going to be improved at all because they were pretty bad last year, but I don't have the highest hopes. I doubt this is going to be a top 15 secondary this year, but we do have to give them some credit. They did a good job against Matt Stafford on Sunday night. He did throw for 317 yards, but he dropped back to pass 49 times. That's just 6.5 yards per attempt. Passer rating just above 85. You'll take that. That's a solid defensive job against Matt Stafford there. That being said, Baker Mayfield might be a bit of a tougher matchup for this Lions defense than Stafford was. And I know that sounds crazy to even say, but Baker Mayfield was great under pressure last year. Look at these splits from last year. Baker Mayfield was a borderline top 10 quarterback in the league under pressure last year. Yards per attempt, passer rating, turnover-worthy play rate. Baker Mayfield was 9th, and 12th in those 3 stats. And to take it a step further, he was definitely a top 10 quarterback when blitzed. Last season, amongst 31 qualified quarterbacks when blitzed, Baker Mayfield was 7th in passer rating, 4th in pressure to sack rate, 8th in yards per attempt. So he didn't take sacks. He got the ball downfield, didn't turn the ball over. The reason this is significant, This is a Lions defense that's anchored by its front seven. They stop the run, they pressure the quarterback. That's what the Lions do. They don't have, we just got done talking about it, they don't have an overly great secondary. They stop the run, they pressure the quarterback. Well, Baker Mayfield is one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL at handling the blitz, at handling pressure. Matt Stafford isn't like that. Matt Stafford's much better when you give him a clean pocket. So I actually like the matchup for Baker Mayfield. I think he's going to be able to throw the ball in this Lions secondary. Now, I know some people are excited about Bucky Irving, thinking maybe the Bucs are going to have some kind of rushing attack. I mean, he came in 9 carries, 62 yards, almost 7 yards per carry. He was certainly cool at Oregon. I know Bucs fans are excited about it. And I'm not saying he won't improve the Bucs run game this year. I mean, they can't get much worse. They averaged 3.6 yards per carry as a team, 30th in the NFL, 27th in EPA, 28th in DVOA. So I'm sure Bucky Irving will improve the Bucs run game, but I don't know about in this spot. I mean, they're up against the Lions. This is one of the best defensive fronts in the NFL. Last year, they were 4th in run defense grade, 6th in adjusted line yards. Look at their numbers against the run last year. Arguably the best run defense in the NFL. They were 3rd, allowing just 3.8 yards per carry, 4th in EPA, 1st in DVOA. Not to mention, DJ Reader might be joining the defensive front this week. He's their new piece on the defensive line. He missed week 1. He's a great run stopper. So this Lions defense is probably going to have the best run defense in the NFL. So even though, yes, maybe the Bucs run game will be slightly improved this year with Bucky Irving, I don't think we're going to see it here on the road. But I still do like the matchup for Baker Mayfield. And Baker Mayfield isn't a stranger to throwing the ball without any run support. He did it all last season and went to the playoffs. So I like Baker Mayfield to move the ball. Now, when we flip it over to the other side, this is where you could start to find some value on Detroit. Obviously, we know the story with Jared Goff. If you give him a clean pocket, he's going to kill you. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL when given a clean pocket. So the main question has to be, will Tampa Bay be able to generate pressure on Jared Goff in this game? Well, we saw what Todd Bowles did last week against Jaden Daniels. They blitzed the hell out of him. 58.8% blitz rate in week 1 against Washington. That was the most of any team. And Jared Goff led the NFL last year in times blitzed. He was blitzed on 287 of his dropbacks last year, most in the league. Now, the reason for that, probably these splits here. Teams know how to rattle Jared Goff. You blitz him. You put pressure on him. Look at his splits here. Blitzed and not blitzed. Not blitzed. Jared Goff, one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. When blitzed, average to slightly below average. Let's not forget, this is a Todd Bowles defense. The Bucs were 3rd in the NFL in blitz rate last year. They're coming. I mean, he blitzed on over 58% of his defensive snaps last week. Now, some of that might have been because they were playing a rookie quarterback, but against Goff, they're coming. They're going to be blitzing. So right now, you might be thinking, oh, Jared Goff's going to be in trouble then. Not really. I mean, the 2 games last year, yeah, they blitzed Jared Goff. 45.7% blitz rate. Didn't really generate much pressure. Just 27.7% pressure rate in those 2 games, which is pretty average. Really not great for blitzing that much. And also, we just talked about Jared Goff's splits when blitzed, when not blitzed. We just looked at the graphic, right? Well, actually, he's got some nice looking numbers against the Bucs blitz. When the Bucs blitzed last year, he's got 318 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks, and a passer rating above 110. So although Jared Goff does struggle with the blitz, he didn't struggle against Todd Bowles' blitz last year. Not to mention, I was talking about this last week, not only did the Lions have one of the best offensive lines in the NFL last year, but they may have upgraded it. They lost Jonah Jackson, but they brought in Kevin Zeitler from Baltimore. So the Lions offensive line, already a top 3, top 4 offensive line in the NFL, may have even gotten better this year. And when you take a look at the current state of the Bucs defense, I mean, it's really hard to have faith in this unit on the road in Detroit. I mean, Antoine Winfield Jr. has not practiced this week. Kalijah Kancey has not practiced this week. There's a bunch of questionables here. Tyke Smith, the new nickel corner, their draft pick from last year, he might not play. McCollum, the corner, he might not play. KJ Britt's on the injury report. Logan Hall's on the injury report. This Bucs defense is not in great shape right now. And also, on top of all of that, the Bucs run a lot of zone coverage. They were 7th in the NFL in zone frequency last year. Jared Goff crushes the zone. Top 10, maybe even a top 5 quarterback against zone coverage. So another bad angle for the Bucs defense here. The one thing we do have to give Todd Bowles and the Bucs defense, and maybe this is just a reflection of Todd Bowles, and look, I'm not a Todd Bowles guy or anything, but it seems wherever he goes, nobody runs on that team. And Detroit, as much as we love Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jared Goff, we love that passing attack, Sam Laporta, this is still a team that needs to run the ball. Running the ball is a huge part of the Lions' offense. And when you take a look at Tampa Bay's numbers against the run last year, it's a little concerning. 3.8 yards per carry as a team. That's 3rd in the NFL. top 5 in EPA, 8th in DVOA. This was an elite run defense last year. So there's definitely a bunch of positive angles for the Lions offense here, no doubt. Look how the Lions fared trying to run the ball on the Bucs last year. In week 6, they averaged 1.8 yards per carry. They were able to get it going a little bit more in the playoff game, 4.4 yards per carry, but still, establishing the run against the Bucs run defense is not easy. Washington certainly couldn't do it last week. So I was recording that video and I looked down at the clock and it was 3:27. I had a live show starting in 3 minutes, so I had to cut it off. So this is hours later. I'm just finishing it up. First of all, I want to mention that in the game I was just talking about, week 6, where the Lions couldn't run the ball on the Bucs, Montgomery and Gibbs were both out in that game. Definitely worth mentioning, but still, we know this Bucs run defense is official. Overall, as good as the Lions run game is, I do not expect them to just do whatever they want on the ground here against a Todd Bowles defense. I think they're going to struggle to run, which definitely puts more pressure on Jared Goff. But to be honest, on this side of the ball, in my opinion, there's just a crazy amount of variance here. I wouldn't be surprised at all if Jared Goff and the Lions put up a 40-piece in this game. I also wouldn't be surprised at all if Jared Goff throws 3 picks and has one of his games where he struggles. So what I did as far as the bet, I took Tampa Bay's team total Tampa Bay's team total over 20.5. And I actually did bet this. I like Baker Mayfield and the Bucs receivers to make plays on a Lions secondary that I don't trust. Now, the reason I'm not taking the 7.5 is because I think it's very likely that Jared Goff's about to go off and the Lions are about to put up a big number here. So I want no parts of the plus 7.5, but I like my bet. I'm on Tampa Bay team total over 20.5. Live shows Saturday morning college football, 10 a.m. up to kickoff. Sunday morning NFL, 11 a.m. up to kickoff. If you're able to make it, would love to see you in the comments. If you want to see all the bets I currently have open, head over to KyleKirms.com and click on open bets. There's a whole list there. Let's have ourselves a nice football weekend, man. Remember to bet responsibly, and I'll talk to you in the Discord.